The Snow Woman, released in 1968 and was directed by Tokuzô Tanaka. Tanaka also directed a few of the Zatoichi films, including one of my favorites, New Tale of Zatoichi. So, once again, this is a recommendation from my friend SkyStarMania from my Discord. What's kind of funny is everything he recommends just happens to have snow in the title. But they've all been great films nonetheless. So, this film is essentially the same Snow Witch story that we got in the more well-known Japanese horror anthology, Kwaidan. It's extended out into an 80-minute version of that same story. Only this time we don't get the strange, dreamlike visuals from Kobayashi's masterpiece, which released 4 years before this. The story at least is a little different, and it does go into some interesting directions. So, the story starts off with a master sculptor and his apprentice being trapped in a bad snowstorm after they find this special tree which they wanted to use for carving a statue for the local temple. They find refuge in an abandoned hut, and they begin to celebrate their luck in finding the tree, but soon they were visited by the snow witch named Yuki-onna. The name Yuki-onna translates to Snow Woman, and she's essentially a spirit or yokai from Japanese mythology. She's very often depicted in Japanese literature, films, and animation. So, right after the two men are visited by Yuki-onna, she then freezes the sculptor to death, but takes pity on the apprentice. She spares him but tells him that he must promise to never speak of this or she'll return and kill him. Back in town, the apprentice is promoted and given the task of making the statue, but then a mysterious woman arrives during a rainstorm and quickly the two fall in love. Soon she comes under the lustful eye of the evil bailiff who controls the town, and so it goes. So, luckily, extending this story to an 80-minute runtime doesn't feel like they're stretching it. This time, because it's longer, it gets to focus more on the character development and crafting some emotional connections. You almost forget that it's a horror movie in the middle, because the vibe itself lies somewhere between fantasy and family drama. But these portions don't drag like they could have. I always felt that this was one of the best stories in Kwaidan. In that film, the visuals looked like a painting come to life, and it was very eye-catching. The story here is achieved with very careful lighting effects and lens filters. The Japanese horror movies from the 60s always did such a great job at creating atmosphere, and in this film, the atmosphere is only amplified by the setting and time period. But I must admit that it in no way looks as nice as Kwaidan. It also doesn't help that I watched this on a lower quality YouTube video, so that might also factor in. But still, it doesn't quite have that Kobayashi dreamlike feeling. In some ways though, this can be a more interesting telling of the story. It becomes almost a slasher movie, because we get to see Yuki-onna this time just wreak havoc Sub-Zero style, and you get to see a few very deserving people get what's coming to them. It definitely adds a few layers to this character. It's pretty cool how she could just seem so normal at one moment, and then the next, you're basically frostbite. But this of course comes at the loss of not getting that great twist that we got in Kwaidan. And that was something that just really left you impacted. Unfortunately here the ending is weaker just because you don't get that great reveal at the end. I'm going to say that I highly recommend watching Kwaidan before watching this. And if you want an extension of the Yuki-onna story, then watch this one afterwards. The story will seem rather predictable, and it does feature a lot of the missteps of Japanese cinema from this time. You get some of the overreacting and strange monologues. But if you enjoyed the Yuki-onna story from Kwaidan, then I'm going to say check this one out and just view it as an extended cut. Otherwise, I'll say just stick to this shorter and better Kwaidan version and just skip this one. Anyway, thanks for watching.